Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
One of the most profound ways to really grow and develop as a person, and this sounds probably crazy to some of you, is to make something. When I say make something, I mean literally physical objects in the world. Anything from, woodworking craft to, paper cards to 3D printing to making a recipe or a food that you're not familiar with. In the process of creating things, and we talked yesterday a little bit about just pursuing discomfort, making things has a relatively low risk threshold. The worst you're going to get is something that looks awful or tastes bad or whatever. And so the risk reward kind of thing is low. The reward you get on the upside of making something you've never made before, or trying to make something you've never made before, let's put it that way, is you may not have the transcendent moment. You may not find at the other side of this the full, deeper self-expression that you're going to get from taking on bigger risks. But in the grand scheme of things, making something could put your feet on the path to those kinds of experiences. So what do you get in the process of making stuff, particularly stuff like food where improvisation is good, or a kind of an overall design but without specific schematics, where you have the guidelines but not the exact measurements. What you do when you make stuff is you essentially create a series of problems, which again sounds awful, but it's really quite amazing because you are put in this situation to create little problems that you then have to figure out how to solve. And they are in a very narrow context window, meaning the problems that you're creating, we'll use cooking again because it's easier. This food is too spicy or too soft or too hard or too sweet or too salty. Any of those kinds of problems that you create have to be solved in the context of the build, right? You're not going to solve the too sweet problem of a pastry by adding, more protein, for example. I mean, you might, but you get the idea, right? It's not going to be, you have to solve the problem kind of in its own context. Same thing with woodworking. You're not, all the memes are going through my head right now of all the places where people have replaced wood with ramen. But in the context of woodworking, you're not really going to solve problems too far sort of out of scope of the way the problem was created. And in that way, you're going to cultivate, again, a little bit of a problem-solving capacity by virtue of the problems you create in the creation process, right? You're trying to create this thing. You're going to make these little problems come up that you need to solve, and you can only solve them in those design constraints. And what you'll learn, a couple things in that process, apart from whether or not you can solve these problems or you have the things you need or the resources or toolkit available to you, is you're going to also learn that there are some solutions to problems that you never would have considered to start with. That the problem solving process is its own form of discovery, that you will continue to, mature and evolve through a solution until you get to one that's kind of the right answer, for lack of a better way to say it. And then you'll start with that right answer next time. You won't be as likely to iterate through a bunch of solutions. You'll just start with the thing that worked last time. And as you, again, continue to do these explorations, this process of making things, you're going to continue to develop your own set of oh yeah, this is the best way to solve this, or this is the best solution for this. Oh, this is too creamy. Then I need to add this or that or the other thing. You're going to build a capacity as you create stuff that gives you more agility, in the long term, more capacity in the long term to then better solve problems. And that problem solving capacity, for as odd as it sounds, will also translate across domains. So your ability to, for example, solve a problem in cooking may not seem like it translates to a problem, say, fishing or something else, but you'll note in the solution design of cooking, for example, that you might add a new ingredient, but it takes a little bit of time for that ingredient to take effect, to really, blend into the dish. You may then take that, well, I've just tried this solution. Maybe I should give it more time when I'm out fishing. Maybe it takes a little bit of time to blend into the fishing solution, whatever that might be. You're going to find that this problem-solving capacity, when you start making stuff on a regular basis, increases, becomes cross-functional, and enhances your ability to solve problems that you didn't create, the stuff that life kind of tosses at you and you're like, congratulations, now you've got to deal with this. Well, now you've got a good approach that you learned from cooking, or you learned from woodworking, or you learned from papercraft, or any of the kinds of creation that you've taken on, that you can then take that problem solving approach, bring it to the novel solution, bring it to the novel situation you're experiencing, and get better outcomes as a result.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone, and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.